Welcome to Flanks06 channel here. I have the unboxing, finally, of Tanares Adventures and the Painted Madness box. So I hope you guys are just as excited as I am. You know, I've been a backer even before I became an employee for Grigory, so I am super excited about finally getting this. And I hope to do a really good unboxing for you guys that you'll really enjoy. Okay, so we are going to start with Tanares Adventures. We'll come back to the Madness box here, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, so let's just crack it open. This thing is massive. So the Madness box and Tanares Adventures, the shipping container said it was 25 pounds. The Madness box is definitely pretty light. I believe it was just over a pound, but Tanares Adventures was so big that even our kitchen scale that we had maxed out over the 12, so we couldn't even see exactly what the full amount was, but it was huge, and it is very hefty. All right, oh my gosh. Whew. I'm so excited for this. Okay, so here we go. And as you guys might have seen from the Grigory box here, we had this kind of double cardboard piece where you have a top section and a bottom. Top section, as you can see on the front, shows our heroes here from the different classes all along the outside, which looks absolutely beautiful. Then we have the artwork on the bottom of the box. And of course we got the lid there, and this thing is huge. Okay, pulling off the plastic kind of hold down covering here for the box. And there is some tape on those tops, just so you guys know. That's to kind of hold it down, make sure it doesn't come flying out. Although it looks like some of my miniatures already have. But you'll see this is Anariel here with the Grigory Games logo. Okay, so here's my plan. Is I'm going to basically take out a couple things, and then we're gonna come back to the miniatures, looking really close, and the cards, and then we'll finish up here with what the game actually looks like in full scale. So here we go. We got a stack of cards here, character cards. These ones are for NPCs that will be used in the city and world phase. In this section here, we have a lot of cards. So looks like just on this top one here is adventure cards, and it also looks like we have our heroes' special attacks that they will get. And there's even more over here. You can see there's the level 0 for the bruisers. Like I said, we'll look through the cards on those. Same thing here. We have there's the succubus card here on the back. So a lot of cards, and I'll just very quickly look at some of our heroes. So there is Lana here, the Valkyrie, she is a commander, and so she has a Pegasus that she will be able to use in battle with her. She looks pretty amazing there. And there is the Pegasus, and the detail. The wings on it are fantastic. It's got like an armor plating on it, with kind of straps coming down. It's, you know, in this kind of epic rearing type pose. All right, and for people that don't know, we have there's Khloet and her mummy. We have Scara and Gladius. Like I said, we're going to come back to these in a second. We have Orthus and his hellhound. We have Ognir and the Beastmaster. Next up here is Herodutus, I believe. He is one of the crossover characters. We got Nyx, who is also a crossover character from Madara. We have Yemi here, who is the succubus. Just kind of getting a real quick look at her. She is actually pretty aggressive pose. That's pretty awesome. It's been a really long time since I even saw some of the poses for these, so it's kind of cool. Then we have Nero here from Black Rose Wars. And we have Lordwrath here. Then Anariel, the sword mage. And Magenta, the witch hunter, who is also crossover along with Lordwrath. Gullog here, who is our bad guy, who you can play as a hero in the game. And then we have a lot of villains. We'll go over these in a second, but we will come back to that. So that is tray number 1 of the Tanares Adventures box. Next up, we have a second lid here. And this one, I don't think I noticed this even when Grigory did theirs. So I'll see if I can try to show you guys this because I didn't notice it before, but what I do is that we have the Reapers, who are one of the villains in the game, is emblazoned here in the top plastic piece. So that looks pretty awesome there for the second tray getting into. All right, we got a bunch of player aids here. And then on the back, looks like we got our boss pads. So lots and lots of information is going to be detailed in there. And really, well, this is the thick part of the game. We have, I'm trying to remember the exact number of them right now, but I believe it's like almost like 100 villain cards. So there is a lot of bad guys in here you're going to be able to battle. And I mean, theoretically, you could kind of change these out, and you know, if you wanted to build your own quests, you could kind of do that as well. And we definitely have even more villains here. Here are the Specters. We have 2 Specters. We have some Goblins. We have the Spiders, Basilisk, Cultists. We have some of the scenery here. So here's some of those barrel pieces. And Gargoyles, Harpies, Fat Zombies, which they renamed to just Zombies. So that way the zombies didn't feel self-conscious about themselves. And then we have, this one is called the Fiend. So I know this is one that didn't technically have a name, but he was given out later after the campaign. And that is the official name. He is the Fiend. All right, so like I said, we will come back to all of these miniatures in much more detail here in a second. All right, number 3 here, we have our hex bases. You're gonna need these because you could have multiple types of villains. So like let's say you have 2 blue type of villains, you give one that's a circle and then one that is a hex, so that way you can determine which token and health they are to track that better. And we will go through all the storage organizer stuff in a future video. I will show how all of it gets organized in the best, most efficient way possible. And then here is our ogre here, who is a huge size villain. Absolutely massive, beautiful. He's got his spike mace there. He's got a, looks like an orc pierced through his shoulder plate armor there. He's also carrying a bunch of skulls in his left hand. We got even more skulls and an axe at his feet. This guy is super highly detailed. I think people are really going to enjoy this guy and be trying to figure out where they can fight him, because you're just going to want him to get him to the table as much as you can. All right, so mana cubes, these are going to be used by the skill pads for all the heroes. So we have, you know, all the colors for each of the classes. There's also black ones. These are used for fatigue, and fatigue basically And you actually do use it in sometimes some of the quests or journal just to set up. And we'll go into that more in some future videos when we do gameplay. But basically, it'll be tracking to see which villain has already activated, and then if there's any kind of like status effects that happen from your choices in the journal. And then we have even more cards here. A lot of NPCs, which all these character cards are. And like I said, we will get back to those. Here are some of the quest cards that you get when you complete a quest successfully. You will be able to keep a quest card and use it in your world phase. All right, and next up here looks like our Comrade cards, and it includes some quest cards. Comrades are a way for you to play the game when you don't have enough players. So you're supposed to always have 4, and we can have essentially 3 players or 2 players, or even playing solo. You play 1 hero and you bring in 3 Comrade characters who will help you out, and that's how they get used. All right, here is one of the city structure buildings. This is actually the back side. This is the Iron Hand Outpost 1 card. We have some more city structures here, which is actually the Iron Hand Outpost 2. And we'll, if you've seen, we have an enhancement video that kind of talks about some of the cards, but I'll do even more discussing each of these cards so you guys know exactly what's going on. And then we have some more Comrade specials right there. Here are some of our, a legendary blade, but there is some awesome armor weapons that you can equip. You'll be using those kind of in place of some of the artifacts that we had in Arena of the Contest. So now you can get either you can get armor and weapons, and there's even some cards that allow you to use essentially like 2 weapons instead of just 1. There you go. There's another starter card. We had some loot cards on the back. There's an armor, and they'll give you passive bonuses as well. Okay, so that is the 3rd tray. Oh, actually, wait. One other thing here, which maybe it's in the 4th tray. So here is the snap-on base, and I really do want to talk about that. So take this out, and yeah, it looks like we have to get it out here first. So, of course, right, you got all of your punch-out tiles and tokens here. This is specifically what I wanted to go over. I may come back to this just to show you guys exactly how this new snap-on tile will be used with the boss side piece here. It's kind of like a way to attack the boss from different sides, and you'll essentially reduce the amount of damage that you take. So we have some room tiles here, ice tiles, we got objects here. These are some of the new tiles, like I believe this is one of the planar tiles, and then some bad guys. Here's another room on here. These will be skill tokens that will be used by the heroes, barricades, all kinds of stuff. And we'll get to that one here. We got a big Ziploc bag, so you can put some of your stuff in there. And this massive pack here of stuff comes together, it looks like. So we have our skill pads here, quick start guide, probably the rule books in here. This big boy right here, that is going to be our journal. This one here is probably like the city book, and then yeah, here's the rule book on the bottom. So technically there are 4 levels to the Tanares Adventures box. I'm gonna break into all of it next, and we'll go from there. Starting with the bottom tray here of the Tanares Adventures box. By the way, I've just opened the packaging, but I haven't actually touched anything. So I'm very much on this adventure just like you guys. So here is the commander skill sheet here. On the back, you'll notice that there is a healer side. There's some cards that actually allow you to flip, so you could essentially be a commander and flip and be like a healer character, or you could just use the backside of this and be the healer side as well. But in short, with the skill pads, you're going to put your tokens on here, your level 1, 2, 3. You're going to put your mana cubes over here. This tells you stats about your character, what they're at. And then there is some additional text over here. That is the mana power. And you can use that. Total charge is probably one of the more important ones, where once you flip all of your tokens, you will get that special power. So for example, healer, once you uncharge your tokens, which basically you flip them all, then you immediately total charge, flip them back, and then heal a 9 to an ally, and all those effects will work within range 8. Okay, so looking here at that, we got the healer one there, another healer and commander, so you got 2 there. Moving on to the bruiser skill pad, very similar with different abilities. Each of these is unique, and then of course they all have their different skills. And the total charge for the bruisers is uncharge your 4 skill tokens to heal yourself for 9. On the back is going to be the tank, and just so you know, they all have bruiser and tank, since they share the same kind of role within the team, which is defending and being kind of the guardian of your team. They have the same total charge effect, but their skills are different. They're not the same. So keep that in mind, whether you're going to play a tank or a bruiser, they are different. So you get 2 copies of those. Moving on to the controller, their total charge ability is uncharging your 4 tokens to give an ally 2 mana cubes, and getting those mana cubes will help you flip these tokens faster and faster, and you'll be able to put out more damage, more kind of effects, and do more things. You just got to meet these requirements, or you need to spend mana power on your turn to do it. On the back of these is the tactician side, with that beautiful orange color. And they are very similar, like I said, but their abilities are just unique as well between the controllers and the tacticians, but different stats. All right, and then we get 2 sheets of those as well. And then the last here is the shooter, with a total charge of your 4 tokens, will deal 9 damage to a villain. And they get some pretty awesome abilities here to just do a ridiculous amount of damage, or even kind of be supportive in some way. Like, just for an example, this is one of my favorite ones here from the shooter tree, which is after a roll, you can pay 3 hit points. It has to be on an ally turn. Add 3 to the attack roll result. So something that may be a miss can now turn into a hit. That is fantastic. And then, of course, on the back side is the Brute as the alternate option, and they get even more kind of crazy abilities that you can do, running around and doing damage to a bunch of enemies and moving through enemies. A lot of cool stuff and combinations you can do. This is honestly the funnest part of the game. So really make sure you're utilizing this as much. That's how you're gonna be able to do well in the game. So 2 copies of these sheets as well. So those are the hero sheets. Next up is the quick start guide. This basically should be kind of your almost like your Bible here at the beginning. You're gonna start with this puppy, read through it to kind of get yourself up to speed. I really suggest, especially if you don't own the game and maybe you're just showing up to play with some friends, or you're the person that owns the game, give this to your players so that way they can kind of look to understand how the game plays. This is a great resource for that. and be able to get you going. And then kind of, you know, the rule book as we get to it later, we'll see that. So here is the campaign log. This is the campaign perks that you can earn throughout the game, and you will be able to unlock these once you get enough war points. So it opens up here, the two sides. So the left side is your phase calendar. This is where you will write in like what adventures you've done, and you're going to mark off every time you've done a city phase, you've done the world phase. You'll also be able to have the lists of quests that you've completed, and you'll be able to fill that out. This section here is the regions for the world phase. So these are the different areas of the world of Tanares, and when you do the world phase, you'll complete challenges. Once you do that, you'll kind of mark off. Say I've completed 3 challenges in a tomb. I can mark off 3 of those slots there, and that will remind me for the future that when I play this again, I already have those 3. So if I complete more, I'll just start earning the rewards for 4, 5, and 6. So that's just a tidbit there about the campaign log. And that's the war points here. This is really where a lot of the progression and story part of the game is. You'll earn war points as you move through the campaign. And you'll kind of, so if you get anything in the masteries, so let's say you get 1 in Battle of the Oceans, you mark here. And then you go up and then mark one of the slots here as well whenever you earn a mastery. If you earn just war points through like the world phase section, you'll just put them in here. And you'll notice that there's these little stars every time you get further in the game and you kind of mark off a star. This reminds you that you need to go to the city book to look at that. And be able to see what kind of things you've unlocked, which you'll get, you know, new armor, you'll get new resources, you'll get new characters, things like that. And then the last page here is the fact log, which facts kind of influence certain results or how setup to quests can happen. So you'll just kind of earn them based on your choices, pros and cons of things that you've done. And they will impact the game in future ways. So based on your choices. And then we have puzzles here, which there's elemental puzzles, lockpick puzzles, and you'll be able to knock those off. And then player notes here down at the bottom. Just so you know, there's a whole nother campaign sheet that you can download and a save sheet in the errata and enhancements digital document that we just put out. So make sure to check that out. All right, this one I might have to actually come back to, but basically this is our city phase poster. Yeah, I'll have to come back to this one because I can't get it all in camera for right now. But you'll see it when I do a full setup of the board, and then on the back side is the world phase map. Okay, moving on next here, this is the city book. You are going to start Tanares Adventures here. If you're unsure where to start, this is where you start. And so it kind of gives you some stuff here, but basically you even see text right here, the campaign begins here. This is where you want to get started. I'll tell you a little bit about like the city structures. It'll tell you about the kind of, this is that story progression of the game. From the different characters. So we got Sidura, Herodrin, Zalir, and you'll earn different things through the game and kind of progress the story of each of these characters as you go on. Then we got puzzles here, which we have a ton of puzzles. I'm not exactly even sure off the top of my head how many there are, but there is a lot. Follow up with elemental puzzles. You got all kinds of elemental puzzles too. If you like puzzles, you're really going to like this game because there is a lot. And then this is kind of the progression part. I won't want to show too much of this, but you'll do that after the world phase, and you will kind of progress through the game through that. And then the rest of this is basically the section near the end of the game. Once you've gotten into the 6-week area, you'll kind of move into the end part of the game, and you will face off against a lot of the bosses that you see like in the Madness box, because you'll move into the epilogue, which I believe begins on like page... I think it's like 78. It's somewhere in here. It's pretty close to the end here that you'll begin the epilogue campaign, and that's where the In the Realms of the Madness special campaign is, and so that is where you will play that. And then there is some other character stuff at the end. Absolutely a ton of content. And then if you're ever unsure how the campaign is supposed to run, look here at the back, and it'll walk you all the way through of exactly what you need to do. So this is a fantastic reference here on the back. That is the city book. Okay, here's the hefty boy. This is the journal. It's got this awesome art on the front. Honestly, I wish that we could have just had like kind of a faux leather thing going on instead of like a cardboard. I mean, it's pretty thick piece right here, but that would have been so much awesomer. But I know there's no way we could afford that. But this journal is absolutely massive. The art is fantastic. There is an insane amount of art. I think just about every person that we've had, be able to check out the art in here has been absolutely amazed with the amount and quality of the art that's part of this game. And I think, you guys are going to really love that. Probably one of the best parts. It's really one of the best things that I think Grigory Games does well is our art. And there is an insane amount of it. This is Alex's favorite page, because he thought of this one. This is essentially Where's Waldo, Tanares Adventures version. So have fun with this. You'll get probably to a part of this if you choose the right path for that. Anyway, like I said, this is just, I'm skipping tons of pages here, you guys. You don't even understand. I'm going through so many pages right now, and it just keeps going. It just keeps going. It's so thick. But look, I mean, you got to use these big plastic binders here at the end. But in total, this thing is 353 pages of crazy campaign. So this will keep you guys busy for a long time. So you will use that for your adventure cards. That's where you'll start off in the journal with that, and then you will flip to the section when you're about to play a quest, and that can give you additional informations or modifications to your quest based on different things that happened in the journal. And then we have the quest book here, which is also very, very big as well. Where are we at? Well, this is 205 pages. We have 101 quests. So a ton of quests here, and just insane amount of missions. So all of them are laid out like this, where you'll have this kind of information here on an initial setup and special rules. And then maybe you have events, but it'll tell you kind of like how you're getting started. And then always on the right side, you may have some other things like events or something that kind of go in there. And then you'll see the map, and you'll see the component layout there of what pieces you need to build that map, and kind of what you're going to be going against. So the quest book here also absolutely beautiful. I want to see if I can get to one of the pages that I've seen before, where it kind of like does this wrapping over effect. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it when you want to find it, but anyway, yes, just crazy amount of art. So there you go. Hope you guys are liking this. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Next up is the rule book. So I suggest if you haven't, played the game at all, like Tanares Adventures, or even especially Arena of the Contest, you check this out probably first. You can do the quick start guide, but it's probably good to at least get familiar with, of course, your table of contents, because you want to be able to quickly reference the information that you need to play. In the front, we got stuff here of like how often you may use certain type of components. So we have the always used, probably used, sometimes used, and then on the back we have an index. So that's another way to quickly check out the information that you're looking for. In the back is all the appendix type information, so it's a little bit more reference. Like for example, if you want to learn what the commanders do, that's page 74 here. It's the beginning of the appendix. So if you play a commander, be sure to check out this page 74. All right, there is the augur there. And then we got all things about world phase and elements of scenarios and journey phase and city phase, and there's an overview, and there's rounds and reactions and how villains work and how to control more than one hero, like if you're using the Comrade system. So tons of stuff there. I won't go into that because we could spend a long time on the rulebook. All right. This next section, I'm not going to go deep into each tile, but I thought I'd just look at these real quick. So here, we saw these ones earlier. There's specifically one thing I wanted to show you guys though. So besides these awesome tiles, which are different on the other side, and then we saw some of this actually kind of fell out there. We have this graveyard scene and then more tiles, and then look, there's spirits and stuff coming through this mist. That is super freaking awesome. And then lots of tokens. So the last thing is what I promised you guys earlier I would talk about, which is this snap-on base. So this is that boss tile that I was referring to earlier. You take this tile piece, you slide it on top of the base like this. You'll notice that it can rotate, and then you take your miniature, which will, that'll be all the sizes that can fit this one here. So this is the core dragon. So if you don't own all the miniatures, you can always use the core dragon, and you can use those for a lot of the bosses. So anyway, he just snaps on like this. So what's going to happen is as the match is moving on, there was a couple issues. One was tracking, exactly where the boss is, right? So we have a square surface, so it's easy to see where your boss is actually standing, which for one is a fantastic thing right there. Second thing is the boss is going to turn based on where people are kind of attacking and who his next favorite target is. So it's going to be kind of like the villain system, and if you watch my boss video, it'll make a little sense about that. So check that one out if you're want to learn a little more about it. But really, what's great about this is instead of essentially what it was before, would be pick up the miniature, pick up the tile, turn all the stuff. It was kind of a pain to constantly do that, and I told Grigory Games that did just not seem great, that there should be a better way, if we could spin the base like this, or at least something where you could kind of more easily turn it without having to take two different pieces and pick it up and try to move it around. And I really pushed them on this because this was a big additional increase in the cost of the game. So I really hope that you guys can try this out. Let me know what you think. Was it worth it to have this? I mean, you can always try playing it without the boss snap-on, right? And kind of doing this thing if you want as well. But I think this is going to be a big improvement once you get to those boss fights, and will help you out a lot. So anyway, that is the bottom tray. And now we are going to move on to the third tray. We're back with tray 3 here. So on the left here we have our mana cubes. There is 5 cubes for each of the 8 classes here. So this kind of more white cube is meant to be gray for the tanks. And then this one here, which could be a little hard to potentially see until you kind of get it in the light. But in the light you can see that it's brown, and that is for the commanders. And then the other ones are pretty easy apparent. And then the last ones are our fatigue here cubes, and they are all black. And you have a bunch more of those ones here. Looks like probably about 12 of the fatigue cubes. So that is all the mana cubes. So now let's look at this ogre miniature. He looks fantastic. Just absolutely amazing detail. I think this might be one of the best miniatures I think Grigory has done. It is just absolutely amazingly sculpted. Look at that, just even the his weapon there. There's a lot of wrapping, like rope around it. You got the head on the spike. He's got ropes around his entire body. There's a lot going on with his belt here with spikes. This guy is real spiky. Like be careful, because there's spikes, on this weapon that are actually relatively kind of sharp. You got spikes on his armor up here. We got like those spikes in the belt, like I was talking about, and then of course you got some around like these shin guard here area, and then down here at the bottom we have some skulls, and this one's actually masked, but then you have an axe next to it. And we got all these skulls that he's just kind of carrying around as his trophies. So this guy is definitely pretty menacing. The ogre is a fantastic miniature. I hope you guys like him as much as I do. He even has, like, you can really see even in his face, the eyes and face is pretty well done. And there's even some, a little bit of definition even on like these ears too. So just fantastic miniature, the ogre there, and we'll be kind of like lining these up as we go. But let's look here at the next. So all these cards down here are going to be our weapon cards. So you'll see this is the symbol here for a weapon here, a melee weapon, and then you'll see, right, we got the classes that can use it. So brute, tactician, bruiser, tank. These are all the starter cards, so you will start with these right from the beginning. And then you'll see like the armor, right? So you get a shielded 5, which basically means if you take any kind of damage, whether that's hit damage or residual damage, you take 5 off of that. Then the starter items here for the healers, shooters, commanders, and controllers, which is the bow. So you get as well as 5 damage, just kind of like the melee version. And then they got the leather jackets. So all these are starters. Then we get into some level 1 abilities. So you'll see, right, we got the level 1 down here. And then you'll notice that like this weapon gives you a +1 to your roll, which means whenever you can do like a roll, and say you roll a 6, now it is a 7, so that may turn a miss into a hit. And then you get the on-hit ability here, which is, like in this case, forfeit so much movement points, and to heal X amount, where X is the amount of movement points you gave up, and deal X amount of damage. And then this will be the resource cost for buying this weapon in the city phase. So we got that. We got Mithril Lance here. I don't want to spend a ton of time into every single one, but at least you can see them. So we got flails, we got hammers, we got an emerald sword, twin blades, eagle sword, troll, scimitar, inquisitor half plate, tiger heart, obsidian plate, dwarven scale, bronzewood mail, dwarven breastplate, hydra splint mail, runic breastplate, repeating crossbow. So we just kind of keep going through these tons and tons and tons of items. These are all just level 1. So like I said, you'll get different sets depending on which class you are. And be able to unlock those in the city phase and make your characters a lot more powerful. On the back side here, you'll notice that there is a passive side. So for example, this armor here, which actually shows on the front side as well, but it's really just a reminder that you get that +5 hit points. So instead of, let's say you have a healer who has 60 hit points, instead he will start with 65. And then if we look at like an ability here, like the Speed Sigh has +2 to the roll, and then you have an activation effect. If you use that ability, you'll flip it over, and then you'll notice you get a +2 roll, regardless of if it's been used or not. So that always will be like that passive effect that you always have. So awesome items in that first pile. And then in the second section, basically we're just kind of keep moving up the list here. So we have more level 2 abilities. Just absolutely tons and tons of cards. Moving on to, then we get into level 3 cards. Soul Suckler. The Tectonic, Gone with the Wind, Dragonlance, Stealer of 7 Lives, the Kraken Shell. So these are level 3 abilities. So lots and lots of those. And these they level up through the city structure building. So that's how you can get these stronger ones. And then you'll see, right, level 3 card. And then getting progressively stronger and stronger. And we have legendaries, and then we have resource cards here. This is the loot that you earn in the game. Basically, usually after you complete a quest, you will draw so many loot cards, so you want to shuffle these up. You have iron, you have gold, you have wood, and you have gems here. So gems is like the least resources. It's actually written in the rulebook how many there are of each, but gems is the rarest material and gold is the most common. Okay, so that is all of the mini cards. Let's move on to the standard size cards here. So we have NPC cards. You'll see the week number as which you can earn them. Some quests and things that you do in the game, you can actually earn them earlier than that. To buy it, like if you do it in the city phase, you will have to spend this amount of action points to be able to get this character. And then in quests, you will get this ability. So like you change a level 0 attack or a level 1 brute or bruiser attack not in use. So it's a cool way to like upgrade or customize your deck. Anybody can have this. You don't have to be a brute or bruiser to this. You could be a healer and you could use this card and then be able to get that. And then they all have a city power as to they'll provide like an action or something else, or sometimes there's an and too, as we'll kind of see through here. But then they give something like drawing a card, another player discards a card and then draws a card. So the city phase is a kind of mini game for the progression of Tanares adventures. Even more amazing art here and great characters. So now we're moving on to the week 2. I actually really like this one because you can remove the lowest level skill token. So basically you can overcharge. There's only 3 tokens instead of the 4. And there's a lot of cool combinations. You're going to want to clear these out basically as, you know, the starter cards, which you'll see here in a second, as quickly as you can. And then level 3 cards. And moving into 4s. So these are weeks relation to the phase calendar of the game. And then we have level 5s. And up to even 6. You may recognize this guy. So anyway, that is it for this stack of cards, which I believe is mostly NPC cards. All right, here are quest cards. So here's these masteries. Basically, after you complete a quest, you will go and look at the mastery points that you get. and you will put a mastery point in the campaign log for, this is under strategist, politics, and organization. You'll add one there, and then make sure to also put one in the in the war point section for that as well. And so then if we look at the back, this one corresponds to quest 20. So you complete quest 20, and then you will get this card, and you can use these abilities here in the world phase. So this is all the, or at least most of the quest cards here. I think there might be one pile that has a few more because there is a lot of quests, right? We even have some NPC cards, some level 1s there, which went in a different pile. Like I said, I didn't, change any of this. This is just what came, standard through the box. So absolutely amazing artwork on the back of these cards. You guys are gonna really like just looking at these cards and being like, holy crap, that's fantastic art there. So okay, that is our quest cards. We'll look here at, these are some specials for the comrades. Then moving on, we have our hero cards. So each of the heroes will get this. This is basically, you're going to use this in place of sort of a hero pad between the skill pads we showed earlier and the skill pads, and then these hero cards. You'll use these. The triggers are all the same for the same class, but then you'll get different effects for each hero depending on which one you do, and then you can build a lot of different cool combinations between the characters and kind of what you're going to go for. Like if you're trying to flip cards, you're trying to get more mana cubes, this one's just doing more damage. This way you can pay some health to heal allies for a whole bunch. Here's one where you can pay health to gain 2 cubes. You can move people around in this one. You can do additional damage per temporary effects on cards, which is there. And last thing to notice on these cards too is these are the action points that these characters provide. So when you use them in the city phase or the war phase, these are the action points they'll use. So they're usually a lot stronger than any of the other cards that you'll get. So you'll definitely want to try to get a lot of heroes besides just being able to unlock and play them in the campaign. They are very powerful in your city deck. Okay, and then basically, we got all the heroes in here. Even if you don't own all of them, you'll technically still have them. You just wouldn't have the special attack cards if you do not own them, or the primary attack cards. These next cards here are cards that will be used for the PvP, AI PvP mode. So those are in the appendix of the rulebook, and you can learn how to play essentially PvP solo. So there is some limited rule sets on that, so make sure to check it out, but that's basically it. And then we have some of these starter ones here and a few more quests. And yeah, I think these are just more quest cards here. All right, 2 more decks. All right, city structures. So this is level 2. You're going to start at level 1, and you'll see, right, you have your level. You'll see the attack cards here. So you can get 0, 0, 1, 1, which means level 1, 2 level 1 attack cards and 2 level 0s. The cards you start with for that hero are level 0. And then the level 1s are ones that you'll upgrade with these city structures. And then when you use the ability that's on the board here, you'll be able to unlock armor level 1s, which you can then purchase. And then there's a special ability for these that gets progressively stronger as you level these up. So like, for example, you can spend 2 cubes to remove 3 character cards from your deck. So this helps kind of purge your deck more. So here at level 4, you can remove 4 cards from your character deck. So that is very important, and then you get stronger and stronger skills as you go, and you can store up to 8 maximum cubes when you do the city phase there. Okay, and then we have basically 4 city structure buildings: Natural Lab, the Iron Hand Outpost, the Tavern, and the Weapon Shop. Next up is Comrade cards. These will level up as well, but you need to purchase these to get stronger and stronger comrades. When you play with a comrade, you're only going to use one of these cards, and that's pretty much the whole ability for that character. So it makes it very simple. You use this and that hero card, and that's your character. It's very simple. You don't have to do a lot of additional thinking. You also get the 2 special attack cards that I showed earlier. So there's one for each class, and then they level up, I believe, to level 7 is the highest level. And then you'll see which building they need to correspond, so that way you can purchase those ones. All right, so we got each one for each class. Going through all of those. Purple shooters, and then commanders, and then we have their other specials there. Okay, that is that deck. Last deck of the tray here, and of course we have these hex tokens, which I talked about earlier. All right, here are some of the abilities for Yemi here, special attack abilities, and then we have Tanares Adventure replacement cards. So you'll see Garen is here. When you play Tanares Adventures, you're going to replace the Master Stroke ability with this card. You will not use the old one because the other one doesn't really work with the rules of that character. So you want to make sure to look at the top of the card, see that that's the replacement card, and remove those at least when you're playing Tanares Adventures. So we have them for a number of heroes, not all of them, but some of them get those. And then we have the boss cards, and this is kind of what I was talking about, those different sides of the character. So in this example, right, we have the Chimera here, who has a lion side, which is the red, the dragon, which is the blue, the goat, which is the green, and then the serpent. So he has 4 different sides, 4 different cards. Basically, he can attack depending on which side he is using, and you'll kind of spin it to attack that favorite target type hero. And so we have characters for that. For Balara, we've got the Golden Dragon. We got some other bad guys in here, the Ogre, and some more. Don't want to give it all the way there, but then we have some boss versus boss character cards. Remember, just look up for these symbols here. That really helps tell you if they're used for something specific, if you're not sure what they're for. So here is the Ogre's boss versus boss cards and how he will use them. And then we have the other weapon shop ability one, city structure cards. So that is it for tray 3. All right, jumping right into tray 2 here. We're starting off here with the Specter here. She goes in the top left part of the tray. She is basically kind of jumping out, and you'll see that there's this like almost like demony type face thing kind of coming out of the gravestone. Specter almost kind of just jumping out at you. Really fantastic detail. I mean, she's got like a necklace, some other stuff going on here with her dress, and you can definitely see her pretty upset face there. She's not having a good time just to battle you on the field. And then we got some skulls down there. Like I said, apparently in Tanares, everybody has to have skulls. Okay, and then I'm going to be lining these up so you guys can see them all as well. Here is the Goblin miniatures. So they are used in Tanares Adventures, but also Cordal is a character who will be able to use these. There's actually quite a bit going on here with these goblins. Also having skulls and a little detail here on their axes and kind of rag clothing. There's some recesses that maybe not quite deep enough, I'd say. especially if you're looking, like in the eye area here, maybe you're not going to get very deep into that with some paint, so it might be a little more challenging, but this is the Goblin there. So there is, just so you know, all of these characters here, there's two of, so we have 2 Specters, 2 Goblins. Next up is the Spiders. There's 2 Spiders, and these will be used by Gazzini, and then of course you will be able to battle them, but you'll see that there's like eggs down here, egg sacs on the Spider, and then we got some little detail on the arms. We got some spikes here on the back, and then those pincers there, and there is actually some eyes right there. So these are the Spiders. Next up is the Basilisk. So that's definitely one of the stretch goal item characters here. So real spiny back here. He's got 4 legs over here, 4 on the other. So 8-legged Basilisk climbing this kind of like plateau rock here, and sticking his tongue out. Try not to probably break that off, because it looks like it could be something that might, break relatively easy, but he does have pretty scaly, rough skin, so that would work for a reptile. All right, so that is the Basilisk. Next up is our Cultist. She is, I'd say, this one's probably a little more kind of ordinary in some ways. She doesn't, I guess, scream cultist. She just kind of looks like, angry, lady looking like she's doing some kind of mystical thing or whatever. But she's got like an armor here, and then big cape, and her hair is kind of just, fluttering down behind her. Anyway, so... decent. I'd say it's probably one of my more least favorite of the Tanares Adventures heroes, just because it kind of looks pretty ordinary. All right, moving on next to, I'll get back to some of these individual ones in a second. So here is the Halfling Riders. These guys just going into the fray on their boars, who are heavily armored. As you see, these are heavily armored characters they got a long spear, and then even kind of some detail. There's a little bit of like kind of curve here. You're going to be really careful with this piece, because you can tell right here on this arm is a very thin piece. If you are not careful, like if you're grabbing on this, you could break that. So definitely be careful with this miniature. It is a pretty awesome miniature, though, this Halfling Rider. All right. Next up is our Dwarves. So we had Ghost Dwarves in the Legendary box. These are the regular dwarves. These are alive dwarves, not dead ones these times. But they have a kind of demon shield going on here, so we'll kind of see what they're up to in the campaign. But got some detail here in the armor, another kind of skull armor. Definitely a theme in the world. There's even, trying to get it here on camera, a little bit of detail on this hammer there, and the shield. I like these dwarves. I think I like them better than the miners from the original game. So there is the dwarf miner. Next up is the construct. These are kind of like robotic automation, automatons, or whatever you want to call them, that you may fight, and they may come in as different things too, but maybe like more like elemental beings. But he has like a mace here with lots of spikes, and then we kind of have this like design here with 4 pieces here on the front, and then he's got a lot of spikes around his helmet here, and just generally very armored type looking guy. So while he may be kind of like a sort of like a robot, he really looks more just like a heavily armored minion there. So you could use him for a lot of different things, maybe in like, you know, D&D, and do some pretty crazy stuff. I think your thing is out of power. Yep. Here is the fat zombie, which has been now renamed just regular zombie. He is not having a good time here. As you'll notice, he has about 4... Yeah, it looks like 4 arrows in his back and actually going through his body, which is actually freaking awesome for a zombie character, looking like he's taking a beating, but he's still ready. He's got his hooks here. He's got some other hooks in his hand, and then basically some other things kind of like dragging around. And of course, you know, in Tanares, you got to have some more skulls on your back pocket. You never know when you're going to need some skulls. And chains, right? So we got some chains here as well. Wearing pretty little because he is he's proud. He's a proud boy. He is not afraid of what he looks like. All right, moving on. Next here we have our harpies. Harpies, super big wings here. A lot of detail in those wings. And this is probably looking even better on the camera almost than even in real life. It's amazing. Half bird, half lady, half amazing, half pretty good detail like on the feather there. I'm even surprised. Like I said, it looked really good on the camera. I can see even more detail just in these wings. It's fantastic. You get some really good wash on these. These are going to look amazing. So there is 2 harpies in every box there. Next is our gargoyle friend here, who looks like he has this is the sculpt. It looks like he has like a chip taken out of him, but he is, you know, stone statue type guardian here, and he's got looks like he also has chains wrapped around his arm there, and kind of going to the back, you'll see, right, all these spines that are going down, wrapping around this tower piece at the bottom that he is standing atop, ready to pounce on the heroes. So this is the gargoyle. Next, oh boy, try not to break any. This is the Aberration here, kind of your Cthulhu-ish type of character. Got all of his tentacles kind of coming out, wings, 4 arms, and just kind of a squiddy looking type face too, and then huge wings, and just kind of wearing pretty loincloth. I'm actually surprised he also does not have any skulls or chains on him as well. He almost feels like he's out of place, like he's from another world or something. Okay, so that is the Aberration. All right, and then we have the Fiend, which I showed off a little bit earlier, which is the extra one. There is a lot going on here. He is holding up some flames. He's got this big axe with a skull in it, of course. There's flame effects. There's more skulls down there. Flame effect back there. More skull stuff right here on his belt. And then has some pretty like bony wings, basically. He's got some kind of daggery pieces down here, and his tail kind of going back into this like flame, and it's almost like he's like in a jumpy dodging type of pose. So it almost looks like he like leans, basically, but that is the Fiend. this one here is the elemental. So we got very kind of rocky type skin, and then the bottom of his body is like a tornado. And I think this is supposed to be like a maybe a water type of effect, and maybe this is flame, or maybe it's the other way around. But basically, you're kind of getting a mix of all the elements in this character. And yeah, he's got some like almost like spikes basically in his back. So very kind of elementally, you know, naturey type of bad guy here. Okay. And then, so that is it for those pieces. Then we have some scenery. So we have the triple barrel, which are finely detailed there with even more little spikes. Spikes is the thing. And this one you haven't seen yet. The Kemet berserker. He's got a massive sword with lots of little like rivets basically in here, and then of course a skull at the base there, more spiky armor pieces, long running luscious hair that you know, I'm sure he spends a lot of time working on, and then this thick kind of coat, I don't know, armor here in the bottom, and look, more skulls in the armor of his boots. So this is the Kemet berserker, and there is only one Kemet berserker, just so you guys know that. We have the farmer and his cute little piggy. Look, his little piggy even has like a little he's got a little like bag so he can go. He's a working pig. You gotta make your pigs work just as hard as you, right? And then, you know, watch out for rampaging orcs and demons and ogres and everything. It's kind of a tough world to be in. But that is the farmer. He'll kind of show up as somebody you're trying to, you know, help or save, you know, in the game. Same thing along here with the damsel. There's only one farmer. There's also only one damsel. This is another character where you will have to save. I will say this, though, for the painter people, this looks like this is going to be a tough part right here, because you have this arm that's so close to the body. It's going to be extremely hard to paint her dress really well and try to get in there. So that could be a challenge with this specific character when you try to go to paint her. But she's got a lot of detail and kind of ruffles in her dress, and then long braids coming down out of her hair. And anyway, this is the damsel character, another one you can you're trying to help in the game. And that is the miniatures for Tray 2. We'll just look at these super quick. These are the villain cards. There's front and back sides. Kind of sort of like the skill pads for heroes, so red and orange. And basically skill pads is they have a favorite target. So in this case, the violent ghoul will go after the hero with the most HP. If he gets a hit, he'll do 24 damage, and then he'll get to do an effect of pushing the target 4, which is pushing it 4 away from where it was at. He's got a range 1 there. If he misses, he can do 10 damage. He will get a +5 to his crit if he doesn't get attacked, basically, or he gets a critical hit. He is a level 2 character, which basically he'll be, you know, they get stronger and stronger. So like level 3s are much harder than like level 1s. And then they all get passive abilities. The passive trigger is the same, but the effects are unique, kind of like the heroes. So in this case, isolation, no other heroes in one of the target. And then they'll get to deal +6 damage, and the target gains 1 bleeding token. So basically do some more damage if they try moving. And then here is the villain card number. This is the one that will be referenced in the quest guide. So it may say R53. That means red 53. If it said O53, then you'd flip to this side and use this side. So they have different effects, different health. Their defense, I believe, should be, I think it's the same. The movement is always the same. And then the reactions just get stronger as they level up. So, and then, of course, right, we have the miniature and what they do. So Ghoul, which we haven't seen yet, but then we have Harpies and necromancers and reapers and spy characters, which I really like that miniature as we get up to that one. Warriors and mystics, and there's our zombie. I told you, he's zombie, not fat zombie. And then aberrations and captains and all kinds of more bad guys in here. Coming down to the bottom, though, we have these are kind of like the new boss pads in some ways. Of when you do some of these boss battles, you'll use these along with those other cards that I mentioned before in the last tray, and you'll basically use these in combination with them, and they have artwork basically on the back. So we got gold dragon on that. Okay, so that is the cards there, and we'll just super fast look at this, but basically this is, I believe, just more villain cards. So besides just looking at more villain cards, that's, pretty much you're getting. So there's a lot of awesome artwork. It's going to pull, miniatures even from the legendary box. You'll use, like there was the ghost ones earlier. You'll even get sentinels, right, from the core box. The skeletons from the legendary box. And they all say where they come from, too. So in case you're unsure, that's where you can look find them. And, yeah. Basically, that is it. So, villain cards, that is it for tray 2. All right, now to tray 1 here. And we are going to get through these cards real quick, and then we'll move on to the next section. So you have a small indent here, so that way you can place token pieces. So we got some more NPC cards. Pretty much all of these are the initial ones, and you know that because it says initial at the top. So you start with these in your hand at the beginning of the campaign. So a bunch of different NPCs. Real simple there. Let's move on to the next part here. So here we have the different abilities here for the different essentially powered up attacks. So we'll look at those in a second, but basically, right, we got level 0s, we got level 1s. So these are all for the brutes. So if no matter what brute character you are, if you have level 1 abilities, you can take any of these level 1s or 2s. And then we go all the way up to level 3 epics. And, maybe if you own the time twist, you might get some more cards. Anyway, and so then we got some here for tacticians, leveling up as well, and so that's all of those cards. And then we have adventure cards here. So these will be the main part of the game to they also have artwork, but how you tell that they're different from the quest cards is the quest cards had numbers, adventure cards all have letters. So that's how you know you will go to adventure. You always start with an adventure card. So let's say we take card L here, and you may have like 3 different options. And then basically it's like, okay, well, this middle section tells you a story about what's going on and what you're trying to accomplish. It'll tell you what the expectation is to find a way to the ancient Khloet temple. And then if a neglected, basically if you choose not to do this, this is kind of the downsides of not going with this adventure card. And so kind of give you at least a little bit of idea. You go to that journal, you play through it, and then depending on your choices, it'll lead you to some different quests. So all of these cards here are the adventure cards. So a lot of beautiful artwork. Just like the quest cards, but like I said, they all have letters instead of numbers. Okay, And then looking at this section of cards, so even more power cards, except this time, right, we have stuff for bruisers, for example. Then we got tanks. There's a few different symbols, things like this, where it's like you get a permanent ability, and it won't go away until you do a card cycle, which basically is you use all 4 of your primary attacks, and then that's when you do a card cycle, and you'll get back one of your items, but otherwise it's permanent as long until you get to that part. So that is an awesome ability there. And then we have healer ones. So tons and tons of different abilities you can get. So you can really customize your heroes and team to what you want them to do. And then we have controllers here as well. Just crazy amount of cards. Really cool stuff. Like whenever a hero gains a cube, it may pay 2 HP to gain an extra cube once per turn. It's a great way to get a lot of additional cubes for your team. And I really like the artwork too, how it progresses. So like at the lower level, at the 0, there's like no lightning effect. And then as it kind of moves up, right, we had a little bit on the 1. Then at 2, it's kind of like going up the card. And then by 3, the epic level, it's like, you know, all around the card of lightning. So pretty awesome. And then there is some commander cards there at the end. So that is all those cards. I'll put them back in a second. And then next is we have attack cards for looks like the new heroes here. So Nero, Magenta, Lordwrath, Herodutus, and Gullog, who is a special character here. So you get some special abilities with Gullog. Of course, primary. He's got pretty cool cards for that. And then Khloet the Summoner here. Got her. And Ogmir. All these other new heroes that come with Tanares Adventures all have their attack cards, and each of the commander's pets have their own card. Legendary abilities. Oh, what are those? Don't look. and commander ones as well. So that is it for the cards here in Tanares Adventures. We actually do have the standard cards. We do have the Heropad size cards. So here's the reference cards front and back. Teaching you how to play Comrades. Here's elements of a scenario here. We have a different one here, different symbols. I think this one, in my opinion, is one of my favorite ones, just because there's a lot of new symbols that are used in Tanares Adventures. So it's really good to kind of get that reference on what each of those mean, and then like the monster passive effects and how those work. And on the other side, you'll see some of like the new conditions. What's Dark Surge? How does a villain work? What are all the different conditions? So new power aid, and then you have turn of a hero and how to do puzzles. And then we have the new Heropads. Remember, the Heropads are only used in PvP. They will not be used in PvE for Tanares Adventures. You could use these, if you want to use these in Arena of the Contest, you could. And so in that case, you would use the Heropads. But for Tanares Adventures, you don't. So we got Ogmir, Khloet, Orthus, lots of cool ability. The commanders, just so you know, their passive is the companion hits an enemy in 5 of you, the first hit of its prime action, and the companion's target takes 2+ damage. That's because they're essentially getting additional damage from the companion also hitting it, so they can do a decent amount. Anariel, Gullog, there he is, Herodutus, Lordwrath. So you're going to get all these new heroes and their skill pads. And then we have the boss versus boss pad. So here's Balara's for in boss versus boss. She's going to use spiders as her minions. And if you see my videos on boss versus boss, you can learn it. You can also do like a simplified mode, which is now out there as well. So you don't have to know every single rule, but you can still play. Chimera here look like they're using the Goblin miniatures. The Ogre here is using the Fiends. And that is it for those cards. Okay, so now let's look at the remaining miniatures and we'll be done. All right, here is the Spy. So honestly, this is one of my, I think it's probably top miniature sculpt, because this is a spy character, but she's got like almost like this demon ghost thing like behind her. This freaking character should have been like their own hero. Just how freaking awesome of a sculpt it is. Like I can imagine somebody making like, oh, it's like Mirror's like evil sister or something like that. Maybe come up with a backstory for that, because she's, you know, kind of has that same motif as Mir, the tactician hero, except she's got this. So maybe you can do some kind of cool effects that kind of control you know, what that hero does. But this is a spy. She's a villain, but one of the best sculpts in Tanares Adventures, in my opinion. Okay, and then next up here, so there's two spies. We have the archer here, the Kemet archer, shooting 3 arrows, because why shoot 1 arrow when you could shoot 3 arrows at the same time? They have a long cape here that you can see with some kind of like detail going around. They got their quiver here on the back with some additional arrows in there, and then has their sword here in the side with the tunic, and kind of, you almost see kind of like a little. But this is also another one of those areas where it's going to be kind of hard for you to get in there and paint. So if you're a painter, good luck. My hat's off to you if you can paint this really well. Okay. So 2 archers. Next up is the Kemet necromancer. Look at this. It's actually funny because this one reminds me so much of the new Ustar miniature, where Ustar also had kind of like these spirits kind of coming out of the bottom, trying to escape, and she's kind of like holding on to them here in her hand and controlling them, and she has a long staff, and she's got some more detail on her clothes. I'm not sure exactly what they were going for here, but she kind of seems pretty scantily clad for battle, but you know, I guess she's a necromancer. She's not too worried. Oh man, I did not notice this before. Look at that. There is a like spirit that wraps around her body, and it goes, oh wow. It goes, oh, it still even continues down here. Wow, look at that. So it even goes down there. It goes down all the way to the bottom. Basically, it's like a continuous strand all the way from here, all the way around, and goes up, and there's like basically spirits as part of this. So wow, this is a lot better miniature than I thought it was going to be. I really like that one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the necromancer. So there's 2 of her. Next up is the Ghoul. This one is probably one of the more grotesque miniatures of Tanares Adventures. He is literally just eating a bone there off of another body, and just munching away, having a good time. And yeah, and he looks pretty disgusting, kind of thin. He's got like weird kind of teeth or something going on there, and just gnawing on the bone. He looks very thin. He looks hungry. I mean, definitely hungry. I can understand why he's over here. He's just starving. Poor Ghoul. So there's 2 ghouls in there. I'm gonna get to the heroes last, so we'll do those. Here are the Reaper miniatures. Usually these are like the weaker guys, but they're miniatures. Just fantastic. Chains, right? We kind of got the trifecta of things here. We got chains. We got our skulls. You know, of course, you're going to have some kind of weapon or face and kind of tattery clothes. You got to have that in Tanares Adventures. Anyway, so this is the Reaper miniature, and it's fantastic. There's even a lot of detail, even on the scythe of itself, right? You even got like these little holes and things in it. So that is the Reaper. There is actually 4 Reapers in the box. It's, I think, the only villain that has 4 of them. So just so you know. Okay, and then one more villain here. We have, I believe this is the last one. We have the Kemet warriors. So these guys pretty armored up. Of course, there you go, more skulls. And, you know, a lot of detail here on his weapon. And, you know, more skulls on the shoulder plate there. Long, luscious locks. The Kemet seem to really like long hair. I guess that's just part of their culture. So they love that long hair. That is the Kemet warrior. There are 2 Kemet warriors in the game. In the box. Okay, moving on to heroes, and then we will be all done here with the tray. We have Sir Grigory here, who is a crossover character. He's got kind of like this bear or lion or something on the front of his shield. It's kind of sad that his weapon kind of turns like that. I don't know if that was intended, like if it got stuck. It just seems like it's kind of bent a little bit, but anyway, that's Sir Grigory here. Very thick armor. He is a tank character. You can tell because he is gray, and I'm going to put them kind of off into a different section. Next up, Magenta, the Witch Hunter, who is also a crossover character. And she's got her crossbow out ready. Sword on the back here. And big long cloak. And of course she is a tactician since she is orange. And she's got this kind of like wavy blade. I forget the name of those kind of blades, but pretty awesome. And then she's got her long hair back there. That is Magenta, the Witch Hunter. Next up is Gullog, the Deathbringer, I believe is his name. Detailed right there on his sword. Oops, his sword right here. Lots of kind of armor detail going on there, and he's pulling this flame effect basically out of nowhere and just ready to smash it into your face. And he's kind of got this big, like kind of fancy armor thing going that's like on his back, and very wavy clothes. People love wavy clothes in Tanares Adventures, like his cloak here kind of waving around. That is Gullog, who is actually a bad guy, not really a hero, but he can be played as a hero character in Tanares Adventures PvP. Okay, this is Anariel here. She is a bruiser. She's got her flame effect on coming out of her hand. The color is definitely going to make this a little harder for me to show you guys, just because some of the details don't really come out until you get some of these painted. But you can see that she's got some detail on her armor and even on her blade, but it's going to take some more work to really see that. It's just really hard to see on this camera. But also long hair, flowy cloaks, and that is Anariel, the Sword Mage, who is a hero character. She is a unique character here for Tanares Adventures too, not a crossover. Next up is Lordwrath here, the what is it, Shadow Knight, I believe. Looks like his is slightly bent here, so you can bend it back if you get some hot water. Be able to get it back. And look, he's got skulls, so he definitely belongs here. And then big long cloak, gotta have that cloak. And of course, he's kind of got like a Darth Vader-y mask, which I think, we talked to them about before. They fixed it more in the artwork, but that's just kind of how he looks. Like I said, these yellows are a lot harder to see, so for bruisers, a little more challenging to see in video. Okay, next up is Nero. Nero from Black Rose Wars. This is actually incredibly close to the model that comes in Black Rose Wars. Maybe sometime I'll do a video talking about that. But, he's got flowy robes as well, because, I guess maybe you're issued flowy robes when you come to the world of Tanares. They give you chains, flowy clothing, and a skull to complement what you look like here. So that is Nero, the fire mage from Black Rose Wars. Then we have Yemi, who is a succubus, who is part of she's a unique character here, so she's got her whip down here at the side, ready to whip the enemy into doing what she wants. She's got those boots for walking, and her demon tail kind of in the back with these demon wings, and her hair's flowing out to the side here. Let's see if you get it. There we go. And pretty light clothing, but she's a succubus. What do you expect, right? That is Yemi the succubus. Next, we have Nyx, who I believe is technically also a succubus, part of a Madara. They had to change up her sculpt originally because I think she looked too anime-like when they first made it, and so they kind of revised it from what people asked the community. It's got a scythe back here, which I don't think I had noticed that originally, but got the wings. Also some very long clothing, and just kind of got a cheeky anime pose, which I think is pretty fitting for that character. All right, next up is Herodutus, the giant, I believe. I don't know a lot of background specifically on this character, but he also is a crossover as well. Got some detail on his shield there. He looks pretty muscly up here in the front. And then, of course, his sword ready to just pound into the ground because he is on top of a rock-type structure. And then has this big face mask over himself. And there are his kind of... It looks more like barbaric-type clothing where he's more like a barbarian, but... I guess it's kind of fitting. He is a brute character, so. All right, last ones are the commanders. And so all the commanders and their pets. We have the Beast from the Beast Master, Ogmir. This character is cool because he gets his own attack card, versus everyone else just uses a basic attack. The Beast actually gets to make his own kind of attack and use either an A or B type of an effect. This is a pretty simple character. He basically looks kind of like almost like a Yeti, really. And then the Beastmaster goes along with it. Very, he's got a big beard. He's got this big kind of flail type thing in his hand there, and then his thick kind of clothes going on, and it definitely looks like he's been living in the wild as a beast master. I mean, you got to do that, I guess, if you're a beast master, right? You can't just be living in the cities. You're part of the beast. All right, next up is Lana and her Pegasus. I think I looked at the Pegasus earlier, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but that is the Pegasus miniature. And then we have Lana here with her long spear with a lot of detail there. And she also has pretty big armor that kind of sticks out here, and kind of comes out that way. So I think that it almost looks like it's like a spear, maybe where the sheath or something for it. It's kind of confusing. And then, of course, has very long flowing cloak there, and her hair kind of sweeping out in typical Tanares fashion. So that is Liana. Whoop. All right. Next up is Khloet and her mummy. This is her mummy character. So the mummy, there's decent amount of detail on this character, right? You got some stuff on this weapon. You're seeing stuff on his shin, around his armor, even in his, there's these little ridges here on his face, and kind of a creepy face. It's almost like he's opening into like a weird maw. But anyway, this is the mummy. This character is very focused on providing a lot of healing with good positioning. So here is Khloet herself. She's kind of got these two flame effects going on in her hand, just like the artwork. And then a lot of different kind of rope clothing that almost looks like it's the skull, but it's not. I think it's supposed to be like, she's very Egyptian type themed. So she definitely more fitting to that kind of thing, and a lot of armor there around that. And then next up is Scara. She also, I guess, yeah. If you're, she looks like she's kind of like a necromancer, sort of. She's standing on top of another body that looks like it's trying to stand up, but it can't stand up, basically, because she's on top of him and she's like draining his like soul or something. So it's kind of funny that she's a hero character, because she doesn't really seem like a hero. I mean, look, she's even got a skull. Does that really mean that she's a hero, or does that mean that she's a villain? Because only villains have skulls, right? Anyway, so that is Scara and Gladius. Just checking out these last ones real quick. Gladius, way cooler skeleton than the ones that come standard. He's got a really cool shield. This guy is one of the extra ones that actually wasn't even mentioned in the campaign. This is fill-in for community stretch goals. So that is Gladius. All right. Then we have the Hellhound as part of Orthus, and the Hellhound, they're standing on top of this this rock formation here. And then they have all this kind of flame effect, and then, you know, more chains, because Orthus is not exactly a super good guy either. In fact, he can kind of hurt your own team, because look, there's even skulls. Oh no, he's a bad guy, or is he a good guy? No one knows. And then here he is, Orthus, with his kind of also flame effect. He's holding scrolls, and look, a skull book. Oh no, if you have a skull book, watch out. These guys are trouble. Anyway, this is Orthus. Oh, wow, look at that. He's even got a skull, like with horn things on the back of his cape. Yeah, don't trust this guy on your team. You never know what he'll do. Okay, that is it for Tray 1. And that is the conclusion of this section. Bye.